Hello friends, Venruki here. Just wanted to bring you a quick video. It's been a while. We've got a big patch coming up here soon with 11.1 and Undermined. And a lot of people have been asking me, what is going on? We got season 2 coming up. What are some of the big things that are coming? What can we look forward to? And I'm going to bring you some of those changes. So we're going to do a top 5 things to look out for, the things that have me personally most excited. And we can just get right into it right away. With number 1 is obviously going to be class balance changes. So I have some of the class notes here, and this isn't even specific to PvP changes just yet, spoiler alert, but we have a massive list of changes, to specializations like Enhancement Shaman. I'm not going to go into details on all of them, but you have some classes getting a lot more love than others. Things like Holy Priest, Discipline Priests are getting a massive rework. Marksmanship Hunter getting a massive rework. They're going to be, have the option to opt out of their pet and have a new Eagle Scout, just to name a few. So I, for one, I feel like we've been in this meta for a really long time. It's been a while since, we've had some balance changes. So for me, getting this massive list of class balance changes, things like Holy Paladins, for example, gaining the Magic Blessing of Protection, Blessing of Spell Warding, I think it's called. And Retribution Paladins losing it, some new abilities coming in for Windwalker Monks, Mistweaver Monks getting some big changes, Fire Mages looking like they're going to be a lot better for PvP in the next season, which will be nice. Survival Hunter getting some changes, the list goes on and on. So like I said, the thing that excites me the most is just kind of getting to a new meta, getting some changes, keeping things fresh. Hopefully some new compositions arise. Like I said, I feel like we've been in this meta for a really long time. And I'm hoping to see some classes that haven't been represented as much, kind of get a little bit of spotlight going into season 2. But as always, when a new season starts, people have been asking me to kind of make it like a tier list and stuff like that. But it's always almost impossible for me to do that unless it's just me completely guessing. And I don't actually like to do it because I feel like there's going to be massive class balance changes. I probably will make a tier list after like the first week or something like that. We'll have an ability, during the week of downtime while we are all, grinding up our honor gear and stuff like that before the season starts. We'll be able to test out, some of these talents, maybe do some war games, and maybe we can drop a tier list and I can tell you guys, my thoughts and feelings. But I feel like everything is so subject to change right now that it's really hard to make, a really good educated decision that's honest. So yeah, that's number 1. Number 2, aside from just general class balance changes, we are getting a bunch of PvP specific changes. One in particular that's kind of game changing, but I'm going to go over that in a little bit. In terms of just honor talents, some classes are losing some honor talents. So a big one is going to be, Blood Death Knights are going to be a little bit less obnoxious in Battleground Blitz, losing Walking Dead, which is basically when they grip you, you get slowed down. So that's going to be nice. Frost Death Knights are getting an all new talent where their Remorseless Winter is going to be activated by their Pillar of Frost. But it is going to do 1,000% more damage and have a 150% increased radius while reducing their movement speed. So they're going to turn into like a little frozen ghoul that chases you around. I don't know. Some of these talents seem pretty crazy, but I don't know exactly, how it's going to work out. Frost Death Knights, they lost a little bit of their magic. And Unholy Death Knights lost a little bit of their passive tankiness in PvP. Havoc Demon Hunters are going to get Illidan's Grasp, which is going to replace their Fell Eruption and allow them to basically, Sith chokehold somebody and throw them across the room. So this will be particularly useful in things like Battleground Blitz or even in Arena, throwing people out of position. So kind of interested in that one. Thorns got redesigned, so it's just in their Barskin or Ironbark. King of the Jungle got removed. Restoration Druids got a new Ancient of Lore where they turn into this big tree that waddles around the arena and is slowly moving. That's another one I'm really curious about if it's actually going to be good. They lost Focus Growth and Preserve Nature. This is a really cool talent. Forest Guardian, so your Wrath, Starfire Cyclone, and any combo point generating abilities extend the duration of your heal over time effects, which is awesome. So it's going to allow Druids to play a little bit more aggressively and maintain their heal over time. Evokers have no cooldown on Sleepwalk anymore. They removed the Dreamcatcher PvP talent, so Evokers are going to be able to just, spam out their crowd control, similar to Polymorph and Fear and Cyclone, putting them on maybe an even playing field in that regard. New PvP talent, Explosive Powder for Hunters. Bursting Shot now also knocks you back and snares enemy by an additional 20%. Dire Beast Basilisk has been redesigned, triggers automatically on your target when you use Call of the Wild. And it seems like what they want to do is for some of these, I think they're trying to reduce button bloat a little bit. So that's why they remove Thorns, they're removing Dire Beast Basilisk as buttons, and it's just going to be kind of baked into your rotation. You can debate whether that's a good or bad thing, but I do feel like there is maybe a little bit too much bloat right now. So I'm at least open to checking this out. New PP talent, Sniper's Advantage, True Shot and Volley increase the range of all shots by 30% for their duration. New PP talent, Aspect of the Fox, Aim Shot may be cast while moving during Aspect of the Cheetah, and Aspect of the Cheetah's delay effect is increased by 4 seconds. And then they lost Sniper Shot, Wild Kingdom, True Shot Mastery, Interlope, and Ranger's Finesse no longer increases the effectiveness of Bursting Shot. Mages got some fun talents with Overpowered Barrier. So it increases the absorption of their barrier and has an additional effect. For example, Blazing Barrier is going to reflect. Prismatic Barrier, if it is fully absorbed, you'll gain Time Warp, which is kind of neat. Ice Barrier, if your Ice Barrier breaks, it's going to do massive frost damage and slow everybody by 70%. The one thing to keep in mind with this talent is it makes it so your Ice Barrier only lasts 4 seconds. So you're going to have to time it really well. It's not going to be like, a lot of people think this is just going to be completely overpowered, and it's going to be good, and the name would suggest that it's overpowered. The problem is, if you see a mage use barrier, you can just stop attacking, and that effect is going to go away in just 4 seconds, which maybe sometimes you want to burst through it, but if you don't, you just don't have to attack into it, and then you basically don't have Ice Barrier, Blazing Barrier, or Prismatic Barrier. So it's going to be an interesting trade-off. Mages lost a Ring of Fire, which I think is going to be pretty devastating. They turned it into a CC, which I don't really see too many people using, but we'll have to wait and see. And Alter Time is affected by Dampening. Temporal Shield got removed. And Fire, because they lost their Heat Shimmer proc, they actually added it as a PvP talent. Absolute Serenity makes it so when you use your Serenity now for Monk, it prevents all crowd control on you. So that's going to be an interesting one. You're going to be literally immune. It's going to be similar to Blade Storm, where you're just immune to crowd control while you're doing your burst. Which, I mean, yeah, once again, you can debate it. I feel like it's probably a good thing for Windwalker monks. They're not necessarily the best right now, but we'll have to wait and see. Alpha Tiger got removed. Reverse Harm got removed. Blessing of Spell Warding got added to Paladins, like I mentioned, but they lost Judgment of the Pure and Blessed Hand. So Holy Paladins no longer have double freedom or double bop, which is interesting. They have a new talent that's specifically going to be good in Battleground Blitz, where when you use your Divine Shield, you can see stealth for 20 seconds. I'm not sure that's ever going to be used, but we'll have to wait and see. Luminance PvP talent has been redesigned. Lightbearer's Heal Transfer is now increased by up to 200% based on your current health. Lowering health heals allies for more. Now available for Holy Paladins. We can go through some more of these. There's a bunch. So Warrior's Sharpened Blade. Actually, I don't want to skip any of these. So that was Paladin. Discipline Priest. Archangel's been redesigned. It's a passive spell that upgrades Evangelism, causing it to heal for 30% more and increases your healing and absorb by 20% for 15 seconds. Dark Archangel has been redesigned. Now triggers automatically when you use your Mindbender or Shadow Fiend. So that's going to be really good with the Shadow Fiend build, I think, which could actually be really strong. Shadow Word Pain damage no longer increased in PvP combat. Seraphic Crescendo has moved from PvP talents to the Holy Tree. Outlaw Rogue lost Enduring Brawler and Take Your Cut. They also lost Shadowy Duel and Veil of Midnight. So Rogues actually took a huge hit for their PvP talents, but they gained Preemptive Maneuver, which makes it so when you use your Feint, it decreases damage you take by an additional 40% when stunned, and its energy cost is reduced by 30%. So I think this is a solid, it's a solid exchange. Rogues that are really heads up with their Feint, that's going to be super strong, but the Rogues unfortunately did lose, some really, really strong talents. They buffed Electrocute by 100%. They gave Shaman a new PvP talent, Storm Conduit. Casting Lightning Bolt or Chain Lightning reduces the cooldown of your Astral Shift, a Gust of Wind, Wind Shear, and Nature Totems by 1 second. Enhancement, Ride the Lightning PvP talent has been removed. Restoration, new PvP talent, Storm Conduit, they got the same one. And Totem of Wrath now triggers from Nature's Swiftness since, I think they got rid of Primordial Wave for Resto. So that's one of the class balance changes we skipped over. So it's going to be baked into their Nature's Swiftness. Warlock's got a new talent, Bloodstones, which basically turns your Hellstone into a Bloodlust, which is going to be interesting. You can opt for a more offensive option. Call Observer has been removed. I kind of liked it, but also another one of those like annoying things on the battlefield. So that one's gone, and Bonzafel got buffed. And then Warrior got a bunch. Warbringer has been removed. Rallying Cry is now twice as effective. Rebound now increases the damage of reflected spells by 100%. So if you reflect that Shadow Bolt, that Glacial Spike, it's going to hurt real hard. We got Dragon Charge, so you can move slightly left and right. Yeah, Dragon Charge has been redesigned. You can now move slightly left and right during its effect. Cooldown increased to 45 seconds. Now available to all warrior specializations. So you got Dragon Charge, which is basically a long distance charge. You knock people back. It replaces Heroic Leap. So an option there for warriors. And this one is really strong. Berserker Roar, go Berserk. Removing and granting immunity to fear, sap, and incapacitating effects for 6 seconds. Also reduces the duration of your next crowd control effect within 15 seconds by 50% on group members within 40 yards. Replaces Berserker Shout. Sharpened Blade now empowers your next Mortal Strike after you cast Colossus Smash. So that's another. They're removing some of the button bloat. Now when you Colossus Smash, your next Mortal Strike is going to sharpen. I think some warriors aren't happy about this. They'd rather time it separately, but once again, they're trying to remove some button bloat. They got rid of War Banner and Shadow the Colossus. Storm of Destruction now additionally functions with Demolish. Master and Commander no longer increases the effectiveness of Rallying Cry. Death Wish causes you to grow in size. And then they removed Barbarian and Battle Trance. And Warpath has been removed. So those are some of the PvP talents. I think some of them are good. Some of them are we'll see what happens. But it'll be interesting. Once again, for me, it's all about a meta change, right? I just want to see new classes working with each other. New comps, new specs. I mean, maybe we're going to see more warriors over rogues with some of the rogue changes. Probably not, but you never know. And we'll have to wait and see. So that's number 2. Going into number 3, one thing that I'm really excited about, and something you guys have probably seen, is the class sets. So obviously in PvP, we're going to be getting sets, but I think some of these sets are the favorite we've ever seen, or at least that I've ever seen. So I mean, you can see like the Death Knight, for example. This is a very cool set. We'll just quickly go through them. I don't want to make this video take too long, but you got like the Death Knight PvP set, which, you know, I rate very highly. What is this? Demon Hunter. You got the Demon Hunter PvP set, which I think looks pretty good. Not too bad. The Druid set looks pretty decent here. A bunch of branches and dead skulls and stuff, you know, very Druidish. Evoker looks okay. Not my favorite. We're starting off with some of the slow ones, but then it starts getting real good. Like the Hunter set, I think, is really cool. Looks nice, like a nice chain set. The Mage set, very cool. You're like covered in crystals and shards, and you look like you have a Vegeta's haircut, which is sick. So excited about that one. And then the Monk set, another one of my favorites. You literally look like a Super Saiyan. Like from behind, it's gonna look like you're piloting Goku. So this is the one that I'm literally most excited about. We have the Paladin set, which I think is neat. This is the Priest PvP set, which I think isn't too bad. A bit of a weird helmet, but I think overall the set looks nice. Rogue set, which obviously is always cool. You look like a little bit of a pirate there. That's going to be a sick outlaw set. Shaman, I think, are looking pretty good. And then, of course, we have Warlock, another pretty decent set. I feel like the face looks really cool, as well as the shoulder. So Warlocks are always kind of metal. They're always kind of rock and roll, but definitely not looking too bad. And then last but certainly not least, we've got the Warrior set, which is kind of basic. Not my favorite, but I mean, for someone who plays a lot of Monk and a lot of Mage, I feel like these tier sets are absolutely awesome. So that's number 3. Number 4, we have a brand new arena. So we haven't gotten an arena in quite some time. But this, for me, is kind of an exciting one. We have a little bit of a preview here of what this is. So I'll showcase it. We'll let them talk.
Starts 1 week after the Undermine update. Let's go straight into PvP.
Yeah, so there's going to be a new arena called the...
Shout out to D-Machine.
And it's unlike any arena we've ever done before. We took a look at the map pool and we noticed that we were missing a couple smaller maps. So we decided to make this map.
Everybody loves small maps. Just me. But yeah, shout out to D-Machine. Love the guy. It does look like an interesting map. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, but as you can see, it's going to be a little bit of a smaller map. You have the eyes on the left-hand side of your screen. You got some small pillars in like the top right-hand corner, and then you have this kind of center area you can play in.
A little bit more cutthroat. Players will be dropped in through a trap door and separated only by a metal platform that'll have ramps on every corner. It's going to be quite a tight fit. It should make...
It really reminds me of Blade's Edge, except there's a lot less verticality to it, and there's kind of side pillars. So I feel like what they did here is they kind of did Blade's Edge Arena, reimagined, and with, you know, less of the problems you would sometimes have with having such a huge Z-axis
for some
with knocks and stuff.
Well, that's what PvP players can expect. What can PvE players expect in Season 2?
All right, so that's cool. That's number 4, new arena. And last, but certainly not least, is another one of those things that's in the patch notes. And this is one that I feel like I'm not 100% sure on. So PvPers in general have complained for a little while that CC doesn't matter. CC doesn't matter. You know, there's too much AoE, arenas like Mythic Plus, everything breaks. If you're a Frost Mage, you know you get a polymorph who finally secure and someone just farts and it breaks. You know, there's just all this AoE that's going on. Rogues have a difficult time securing gouges and blinds. And one of the biggest changes we've seen to CC in quite some time is what they are doing. So they're actually adding a damage threshold to many of these abilities. So for example, polymorph is no longer going to break on 1 tick of damage. You can actually be sitting in a blizzard polymorphed and it's not going to break. And depending on who you ask, once again, that's either a really good thing or it's not so good of a thing, because you're going to be able to basically put out CC and have a little bit less finesse, and healers aren't going to have as much of an opportunity to kind of force themselves into cleave. You know, like if I dropped a Ring of Fire or a Blizzard or a Frozen Orb, you already know that the healer is going to be just running on top of it in the middle of the map because they know every sheep's going to break. And it can be very frustrating. Like when I play Arcane Mage, my rotation shoots out an Arcane Orb. Like if I press Arcane Barrage, which is a single target ability, there's just a chance I shoot out an orb. So it's going to be nice that you know, I can still punish healers that are just playing in the middle of the map and they don't really care about CC. They're just in the meat grinder. You know, I'm going to be able to maybe isolate them a little bit more. And it's not just polymorph, it's also blind and gouge, monk paralysis, you know, any of those crowd controls that broke on 1 point of damage. Those are now going to have a little bit more of a damage threshold. So it's going to mean people sit more crowd control. CC is not going to break as often, but people are going to get that meaningful crowd control that they wanted, right? People complaining that, you know, there's not enough CC in the game. We're going to get to see a little bit more CC, and I'm curious to see how that does work out. And yeah, I think it's going to be definitely an interesting one, and it might create, you know, some more compositions. I feel like myself as mage, like the amount my polymorph breaks to AoE, like I said, it's limited me in some of the compositions that I could play. Even my monk, you know, whenever I use a paralyze, it's just breaking instantaneously to, like, you know, the smallest little amount of damage. That's super annoying. You know, like Windwalker Mage, for example. As a Windwalker monk, you often have to like cancel your Zwen just because it does a little bit of like Tiger Lightning AoE. So that's going to change, and I think that's probably one of the bigger changes we have in this patch, and it's going to get people, you know, in crowd control a little bit more. So like I said, depending on who you ask, a lot of these changes, they could be good, they could be bad, but that's basically what's coming on. We haven't really heard anything about MMR or matchmaking. That could be stuff that's all going on behind the scenes and we just don't know about. Copium, you know, sometimes I feel like some of the communication from Blizzard isn't the greatest, but I am still very excited for this patch, and we'll have to wait and see if any of these systems have been fine-tuned. And if they have been, I'll make sure to update you guys, drop a video. But yeah, thanks for watching. I know I haven't been making too many videos lately, but we're gonna get back on track with the new patch. So if you guys like this kind of content, feel free to like, comment on the video, and until next time, see you next time. Bye.